When you're starting a business, and I say this a lot, jumping off the cliff and first starting your business is kind of the easy part. At least for me, if you're a risk taker and you don't live in that sort of fear mindset, at the very beginning, at least the first few years, it feels like, well, if it does, I can always go back, right? It's like you're close enough to turn around. But then as you keep going and as you keep building, it's important to build a team around you or build structure and processes around you that you can keep your eyes up and not in the business.
Hey there, I'm Cody McGuffie. I'm a husband, dad of 3, and I'm the founder of EverBee.
EverBee.
Where we serve over 1 million creators across the globe, helping them grow thriving online businesses. I believe every single human is a creator, and I believe every single creator should own a business. A business that gives them the freedom to build the life that they dream of. Built Online is where creators, entrepreneurs, and leaders get real insights, real stories, and the edge to build something that actually lasts. This is where the next generation of builders get built. Danny, what's going on? How are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it and excited to just dive in.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited to be here, and I could chat about this stuff all day long.
Well, let's do it then. Maybe before we started, who's Danny? How'd you get here? All that good stuff.
Yeah, so my name is Danielle Dufresne, and I have a company called the Oxco, and we service as fractional production operations for small agencies, in-house brand agency teams, just smaller creative teams that need to really flex any of their production muscles. So maybe they have big ideas and aren't sure how to bring them to life. So we do events, commercials, photo shoots. I've done websites, I've done video games, really just whatever it is, finding the right people to execute your ideas. So I work with a lot of small brands as they're sort of trying to have a strategy to build and compete, and also small agencies that are really competing with the larger conglomerate agencies.
Awesome. I mean, I want to kind of break that down a little bit too, because I think a lot of our audience, they don't really know those pain points quite yet. And if there are some people that do know those pain points, then it's probably like a few and not that many listening to this. Selfishly too, I want to learn more about kind of that piece, because EverBee's in this growth stage too, where we've scaled tremendously in the past 4.5 years too. So I can maybe use us as like maybe, I don't know. I'll bring my questions from my own personal experience. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But I do hear about like people using companies like the Oxco, and it's hard for me to really understand because you guys do so much, and you guys can be so flexible. But so can you give me like a real world example that maybe like a brand, that maybe a beverage brand or some sort of like any sort of brand that we can understand? Oh, that's what the Oxco does, or they would do something like that, so we can kind of put that in context.
So I think as one step back, we are not a production company. So a lot of times when you're like, I have an idea for this, I'm going to hire a production company so they can shoot it or make it or whatever. Those vendors tend to specialize in one type of thing, right? You're going to have the production company that does a lot of sports videos or, outdoorsy type of work. And that's really what they like hone in on. And they may say, hey, we can do everything, we can do your thing, but it's not like their specialty. So really what I became known for was my Rolodex. And it's really just tapping into our Rolodex of the right strategic talent, creative talent, directors, photographers, whatever it is, whether it's execution or even on the ideation side, to take whatever little marketing, advertising idea that you need to produce and bringing that to life.
Interesting. And so like when I think about, let's just say I'm drinking Alani right now. Okay. And at what stage would, let's say I'm the CEO or the CMO of Alani, at what stage would I be like, okay, I need to call Danny? Like what are my problems that I'm dealing with right now that brings you?
So what's actually interesting is that one of the reasons that I modeled the company the way I did is because what you used to do was your in-house creative team would come up with an idea and fully flush it out and script it, or your agency would, and then you would then sort of deliver that, that RFP to a production company or to another entity, and they would just take your order and say, yes, it will cost this much, and this is how we will do it. What I was seeing a disconnect in was really not bringing that production expertise on earlier, so that when you're in the process of like, I have this idea for this event, or I have an idea for, a video that we need, whatever it is, you can bring production expertise in earlier on, so that they're really helping you craft the idea. Like, is the idea in your head the best version of that? Is there a more expedient way, or a more like, is there a way that's going to like be saving you more money and getting you more content if we do it in another approach where it's not anyone's fault, it's just that you tend to, you know what you know, and so you tend to ideate within those constraints versus saying, I've actually done this same launch as an event, or I've done it as a big out of home campaign, or I've done it this way, where the creative behind it tends to be the same, but it's how it's being brought to life and how
Mm.
your audience is interacting with it that's different. And it's sort of making sure that you're not only ideating in ways that can come to life, in every medium that we have to hit these days, but also like that you're just sort of kicking the tires, if you will, before you go into production on something. Because by the time you've already, gotten to the end of the process and you're ready to bring on production companies, a lot of times you can't make those changes
Mm.
at that point.
So at what stage of the business where I would be thinking about
Yeah.
doing something like this? Or is it an
Yeah,
event
so
coming?
my teams will call me like, my agencies will call me and literally be like, "Hey, our client wants to make a big splash for New York Fashion Week. This is sort of the things that they're hitting on. This is some of the ideas that we're talking about. How much would some of these things cost? What do you think?" And I'm, actively helping them craft those ideas.
Mm.
Or, maybe they've already started I had a client that was like, we're making a full-size statue of Elon Musk for his 50th birthday. And
Interesting.
I was like, okay, it's not a great idea, but cool. And they were like, we want to like put it up as a stunt somewhere. I was like, okay, well, it'll cost you this. Let's think about that. And that's actually a good example of where
Oh, wow.
they had sort of already packaged the idea early and so much earlier that they weren't willing to like make many changes, and it didn't do very well. But I think it's, yeah, being able to, I mean, I have creatives that just text me like, "Hey, does this make sense?" And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, I have a guy for that." And I like send them videos that sort of inspire them. It's really more of like open collaboration versus feeling like you have to have all the answers packaged before you call me.
Interesting. So, like, let's say that Cody, right, me, and
Mhm.
I'm just like, okay, I have this goal for this year for EverBee, and I would just literally just call you essentially and be like, hey,
Yeah.
here's the goal, and then we can kind of basically
Mhm.
strategize and work backwards and be like, okay, well, what's actually the outcome that we actually want to achieve, and here are the
Mhm.
3 different avenues or 5 different avenues that we can do, and then kind of brainstorm, and then eventually just kind of
Yeah.
like go deeper on it.
Where we're not feeling like we need to get I have a I'll even take the soda drink that you have as an example there. Like I've had brands approach me and be like, "Hey, we are having an issue where we're about to lose a ton of our stock photography. We don't know what to do because we have limited budget, but how do we get, we need stock that fits a lot of different things, and we're just not sure of the approach because we don't have like, money for 10 different photo shoots." Okay, great. Well, I have an idea. Let's go out there and like brief tons of photographers all over the country that fit the different kinds of content you want. And then make them a flat offer for like, here's the brief. We will pay X per image that you shoot and we
Mm.
buy, but we're not paying for them to shoot it. We're paying on spec. It's basically, a spec. And so we pay for what we keep. I've done that sort of model. It's really like kind of how to put together the puzzle for whatever your problem, your creative production problem is, because there's definitely an approach that will work for the money you have, the time you have, the goal you have, and all of those things. And not like sometimes it's just more of how you're doing it.
Interesting. Do you guys feel like you've specialized, or you've, not on purpose, but because you guys can do so much, but do you guys tend to have like an 80% of your clients fit in a certain category? Is it like, because you mentioned like fashion for one, for example?
We do a lot of everything. What I would say, it's more that we're not the one, we don't tend to get calls when there's like, oh, we have all of this time and all of this money. It's more of like, we have a problem. And that's, I love to have all the time and all the money. It's just sort of that, I've become known as a fixer, and my team can really think outside the box in order to solve those problems. So a lot of times the first time a client has been working with me is because they had a problem. And we were like, we like to say that, no is easy and getting to yes is hard. And we always can find a way to figure something out. But it's not like within the constraint, like it's not saying, oh, we only have to do it this way. It's more of there's lots of different options. I just need to sort of shake the tree of your creative idea, get to what the crux of it is, and then I can problem solve that much better.
What's the typical problem that, I know there's no typical, it doesn't sound like, but like, what is the kind of the categories that, is it budget? Is it time, or is it
It's
like,
budget, it's time, it's, I it tends to be budget and time, and, as the combo, or, you know, location, right? Like, we just found out we have to move everything to this location because that's where the talent's gonna be, and we don't know anyone over there. Okay, great, I've got people there. Like, that's a solve. Or when I was helping YouTube launch YouTube Shorts, their internal creative team was having a really big problem figuring out how to produce all of this content that needed to look like TikTok and Instagram content, but couldn't have been seen before, couldn't have been out before. So it needed to look organic to that platform, but they couldn't produce all of these individual types of things,
Mm,
especially Google and YouTube likes to work very much in the let's just produce every single idea and see what works.
mm.
So for about 2 months, I actually had built a system where we utilized my real people casting partners. And we would send a brief out on a Thursday afternoon of like 6 different things that we needed people to film
Interesting.
themselves doing and submit in a very like viral TikTok way. And then we would go through them all and pick them and see what worked. I mean, it was everything from we need people finger dancing with your hand dressed and twerking, like to Cardi B with your finger. Like, it was just whatever kind of crazy ideas.
Mhm.
Um, because originally they were coming to me saying, "Hey, we need to produce all of these shoots." It's like
So
that's going to
this
constrain
when you were
YouTube.
working with Google and YouTube in this case?
Mhm.
Interesting. So that's an interesting use case because we've all experienced like Google and
Yeah,
YouTube Shorts now, right? And it's a breakout success, right? Like YouTube
yeah.
Shorts is awesome. Um, and so the problem that they came with is that, hey, we're launching this new product, essentially this new
Mhm.
feature, whatever it is, and we want to make sure that it takes off. Takes off, it needs to be widely adopted, or at least to appear to be widely adopted. For that to
Mhm.
be widely adopted, you need to have content being produced on it. But the problem is there was no content being produced because it's a brand new thing. It's a chicken or egg the problem. And
It
so,
wasn't out yet, and they knew they wanted to feature the big thing with YouTube Shorts at the beginning, especially, was you could take anything from YouTube, any video that's already out there, and be basically like matching the sound to it. That was a big thing. So they liked to come up with a lot of different ideas at the last minute, and they don't have the in-house, like, there wasn't the budget to like do a different shoot every weekend. And also, when they approached me with the idea of, hey, we want to do all these shoots, I kind of had to push back and say that the content wouldn't feel organic if we did that. It would feel produced, which would instantly be, off-putting to the viewers. And that there was an easier way to be getting that without spending, without overspending and still really like hitting your goals. Cause I think we were creating like 100 to 150 new videos over the course of like a month. So, and then sort of finalizing those for what went out at launch and then what just was used after the fact. And it wasn't an idea that they had. It was more of they didn't even know what the problem was yet
hmm.
until I kind of flagged it.
What did you end up launching with? What did they end up launching with? What did they take from your ideas? And what did we? I didn't see
We
obviously launch, or I don't remember it at least.
Yeah, we launched, it was in Times Square, it was all over the place. We had, it was just really a ton of UGC content that people shot themselves, but that we converted to look like, within the platform. It was native to the platform. So we had like Roblox stuff in there. We had dancing animals. We had, like I said, the
Mm.
twerking little hands. We had father-daughter dances. We had drag queens doing the wipe. We had all of these things. But it was, each piece was paired with a different YouTube video. Like, there was like a sawing noise, like from a YouTube video, and then it was paired with someone like catching their partner snoring. It was just all sorts of funny silly stuff. But it was more of the amount of stuff we were able to create that felt organic to the platform that was really the solve.
At that time, I don't know if you can recall this, but was it linked? Was every video linked to a specific YouTube channel at that time? Because that means it probably creates this new problem where you like create this dancing hand video, for example, but like whose profile is it on? YouTube channel is it on?
No, so that was, since it was solely for the launch, it was only living on YouTube because we were having stuff created solely for us so that we could own all of the usage for the campaign for it. So we weren't having to go back and like have it lit. Like, we weren't pulling, like, because versus going and pulling from what's already on the internet. And then we can't guarantee if it's been on TikTok before or if it's been somewhere else before. And we like own it outright, where everything was 100% created and only paired with what YouTube had already like squared away to have released side by side with the shorts content.
Interesting. You,
Yeah.
you said, I don't know if you remember this, but Authority Magazine, you said, always keep your eyes on the horizon, not
Mhm.
the ground. What do you mean by that?
That when you're starting a business, and I say this a lot, jumping off the cliff and first starting your business is kind of the easy part. At least for me, if you're a risk taker and you don't live in that sort of fear mindset, because at the very beginning, at least the first few years, it feels like, well, if it does, I can always go back, right? It's like it's far enough, it's you're close enough to turn around. But then as you keep going and as you keep building, it's important to build a team around you or build structure and processes around you that you can keep your eyes up and not in the business. It's very hard when everyone says no one will care about your business the way that you do, and it is incredibly true. And where it makes you a perfectionist, it makes you want to be able to
Hmm.
have a hand in everything, but then you're not able to keep that mindset looking forward. I remember very early on in my career working for people that I just did not understand. Like, it felt like they were insane. It felt like they saw the world a completely different way. And really, that's what CEO brain is. Like, it has to be that you have this vision where you see the other side of it. You don't see the road underneath you. You don't see the full map of how you're going to get there, but you just know that that's where it is that you're going, and you can help lead everybody that way. They may not have to get you, but like, you have to know. If you don't know what you want, then you can't translate that down.
Completely agree with you, and very, very relatable. Absolutely agree with you. You also say, know your powers, know what they are not, hire for the rest. Or-
Definitely. I think that whenever people say, "Hey, I want to invest in this marketing stuff," or "I want to invest in this," it's like, if you're not first investing in someone, even just one person underneath you taking stuff off of your plate, then you shouldn't, like, that is your first investment that you should be making, at least in my opinion. Because there's lots of, like, I've spent years being very organized as a producer, but now that, like, I have so many things going on and I have two young kids in this business, organization and staying organized is not something I even have time to do. So reading my email or scheduling my day, or any of that admin work that you can get off of your plate so that you can keep looking forward is better. And it also trains, like, it helps train you to let go of stuff,
Mm,
which is, it takes a long time, and that's a hard skill.
very, very hard skill. I agree with that. How big is your team now?
Right now I've got about 6 people, but we go from anywhere from like 3 to 6 to 10. It really kind of depends on, we have our core bench, and then we have people that we bring on with certain specialties, as the clients
Sure.
scale up and down.
Absolutely. I could see that. Definitely have to be like scalable in like different ways. And do you remember, I know this isn't something that we plan on talking about, but like, do you remember hiring? Sounds like you have an EA, right? An executive, like some sort of assistant, right?
Yeah, I have an executive assistant. I've had lots of hires over the last 10
Sure.
years. Yeah.
Do you remember like the mindset of hiring your first assistant? Was that a challenging hire for you?
It was very challenging,
Yeah.
and it was the end of 2019, and I had big plans for 2020, as we all did. And I hired someone that was recommended to me, and it was such a struggle because it wasn't like, I was sort of hiring someone with the intention of training them as an associate producer, with the intention of training them.
Okay.
And you don't understand other people's skill set as much as you maybe think you do. Just because you vibe with someone does not maybe doesn't necessarily think they're going to read your mind. And you have to be very clear, but also just, like I said earlier, having the expectation that anyone is going to care about your business as much as you do, that's on you. That's not fair for you
Yeah.
to have that on your employees. Just because I had a crazy work ethic and worked way too much does not mean that's on other people to do.
Mhm.
Or if what you're giving people is not like clicking with them, that they're just so excited about it, they're doing all the time, then maybe give them something else. I had right after I hired my first hire for this company, COVID happened. Then I got pregnant with my first, and it was just, emotions were insane. And I remember we had a client that was overseas, and we were doing an edit for an Asian client, and the hours were a little crazy for when they would get back to us. But I remember her out of office on her phone being on until like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and which was just insane to me. I was like, I wish that I could do that. And it's like, I know that we're sort of, you can make your hours, but it's also if you have an assignment or you have work that is at certain hours, maybe consider doing that. But as I've grown my team, what's really interesting is I think I've learned just as much from them as like they've learned from me, as far as I'm better with boundaries. I'm better with like scheduling out my emails and Slacks and not just bombarding people because I have it in my head at that time. And I think that that is learning how to delegate and learning like you what you need to care about versus what you should not even be thinking about,
Mhm.
has been a huge game changer for me.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I agree with you. Like it's definitely, I mean, I think every single person has to go through this if they're growing their company and growing their business. You don't just like
Like
magically
you
know how
like
to
this person
delegate.
that I hired first, I loved. We fought all the time, like, but I loved this person. I remember bawling when she left. Like it was very emotional, like
Mhm.
because it is emotional and it that is just like it's hard to get away from that and to not have it be like you want to connect with people that work close to you because it's your business, it's your baby, but you also have to like leave room for people to show you what it is they want to learn more and what they want to do more of.
I completely understand that and agree. What's something that's most exciting for you right now? Like what speaking of the horizon, right? Like where
Mhm.
does Danny get excited about right now with the future of your business or life?
Yeah. I'm really excited about what I'm seeing as far as within the ad agents, within the ad world and in marketing. We're seeing this rise of nostalgia. We're seeing obviously AI come up, which I'm very excited about AI because I think that it will solve a lot of problems, but the biggest thing that I see it solving is getting us in alignment on what it is we're making or doing much earlier in the process, because you're able to come up with bigger ideas because you're able to show what the idea is.
Yeah,
And it doesn't mean we won't still be making things. I think it's just more of having a better agreement and alignment on what it is that we're making. And, or maybe it is creating a lot of those lower end, uh, low hanging fruit assets that you normally have to spend a lot of time and money on, so that you can actually spend your time and money on the bigger campaign work, the bigger storytelling work, and the stuff that matters. And where I'm seeing that going now is away from influencers, away from borrowed communities, and brands building their own community.
oh, interesting.
Um, I think that the brands that are going to come out of the next 5 to 10 years are going to be the ones that what they stand for, what that brand mission is very clear. And they are the reason that their audience puts down their phone, closes their laptop, and goes to live the life that that mission stands for. So it can be being a party girl, fine, cool. Like we partner with DJs and have all of these great playlists, or we pop up with local dance clubs. It could be, like atmosphere or you know athletic gear. We're partnering with local, getting people connected again and
Mm.
being that conduit, to build your own community instead of borrowing other people's, I think is going to be huge. And that's also why we're seeing a lot of brand collaborations right now.
It's very interesting. I see what you're saying. I never thought about it until you just mentioned that. And it does make sense. I kind of see things going that way too, because we're EverBee, like our company is very big on community also. Um, but like we didn't do it necessarily intentionally. We just kind of did it because our
Mhm.
customers needed community. So we kind of just did it. But now that you're saying it, it's been a huge valuable asset actually as a company, as a business, as
Yeah.
user base.
And that's even the rise of influencers were because they were building these online
Yeah.
communities, right? But now after 5 years so starved of in-person community, it's and, generations that have just are feeling like they've been nothing but sold and sold and sold and they can't trust anything.
Mm,
That it's more about like what's real. So you have the need for in-person real community, and then you have the rise of AI, which is like making it even harder to know what is real online, which
mm,
is pushing people offline or to like Facebook groups or just things that are like everything is going to a more beta version, than it is now. So it's kind of that's why we're seeing nostalgia, we're seeing MS-DOS kind of graphics coming up from everywhere. We're seeing, you know uh, the younger generation starting to embrace hard copy magazines and newspapers,
mm.
flip phones, things like that, because they know it has a like an authenticity to it.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Are you ready for the rapid fire questions?
Yeah.
What is your favorite business book?
Business book?
Yes.
The Art of Bullshit?
I read that.
Or
Who's
is
it?
it the subtle art of not giving a fuck? That's it. The subtle art of
Yeah,
not giving a fuck.
I have read that. That's nice. What is the one thing that you wish that you knew before starting your businesses?
Um, the power of delegation.
You wish you would have done it earlier?
I wish I would have done it earlier. I wish I would have done it day one. And I wish I would have had a better idea of like how to do it. Because even in doing it, it probably took me 4 years to start doing it right.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I was very resistant to hiring an assistant. I don't know why. Maybe I felt like it was big ego to like have an assistant, and
Mhm.
like I used to like be like, no, I'm like,
Mhm.
you shouldn't be afraid of like taking out your own trash, kind of like that whole mindset
Yeah.
mentality. So it came from a good place. I know it came from a good place, but it actually ended up hurting myself, my customers, probably my family a little bit too. It was actually probably one of the most selfish things I could have done, even though I thought I was being selfish.
Honestly, I would also say like having one person, one assistant is just sort of like having an extension of yourself, which isn't even really delegating. It's when you start to hire those other people where
Mm,
you have no idea what they're doing day to day. You're just giving them like
yeah.
and when you don't hear from them, it's a good thing. Like that takes whew,
Yeah, it's spooky
that's
almost,
hard.
but
That
very
is hard
cool.
for me. Yeah.
It's like one of those things where it's spooky because you're just like, okay, I'm so deep in it now. Like I can't actually fix a problem, when if there's something that
Yeah.
arises.
But you
And
don't have a company if you're not doing that. You're just
totally agree.
freelancing.
Yep.
If you're like, I get to make money off of them doing the work versus if I'm up in their business, then I'm not making any money. I'm doing the work.
Yeah. It's very interesting. And then they're so much more empowered this way too, because they feel, I mean, who doesn't feel proud of themselves when they're
Yeah,
like
they
donate their
do
boss?
better work. Like, when I came back from one of my maternity leaves and I, like, way overcorrected because I was like, "I haven't been working," and I was just really over everybody's shoulders. It's the time I think I got the most, like, clients calling me going, "Is something up with her? Because she's not, like, doing the" it's like, "No, it's because she was waiting for me to do the work because I was being so nitpicky."
Mm,
And, like, when you let them do great work, but then have their back when they mess up, they will give you great work the majority of the time. Like, I
mm.
think that um my producers all sort of know, my team knows when to bring me in and when to have me get me the hell out of the way so that I don't like make any problems. And it's the same thing, like the longer you work with somebody, the more they know what I'm going to say. But
Yeah.
it's like it's just letting go, how
Letting
to
go.
let go. I guess I'll make the answer. The thing I wish I knew was how to let go.
I still say, yeah. And that's an evolving thing for me at least.
Mhm.
I agree. Yeah, I think about team. This conversations like this make me reflect on my team and who I have, and you're so grateful because I agree. They're kind of the same thing. What's nice is when you can talk about the what with your team, and then just like let them figure out the how, the implementation of it, and
Oh
actually
yeah.
that's the stuff that I suck at anyway. And they're really good.
I and the stuff that, like, I don't wanna be on set. If I'm on set, a problem has occurred. Like, if I'm involved, a problem is happening.
Thing.
And what I normally do is I tell my team, "Here's the 5 to 10 or whatever problems that I see occurring on this project before we start." And when I had one producer for start with me, she took that as a, like, insult that I thought she wasn't gonna do a good job, when in reality, that was just my experience
Good
telling
wisdom.
her
Yeah.
guaranteed. And now they kind of hate it. They're like, "You called it. That happened." I'm like, I don't like those things I'm just telling you from experience. Now we know where the pain points are going to be so that you're not scared later to bring that to me, or you're not like you're just more prepared to deal with it yourself later if we talk about it now.
Yeah, I get that completely. Danny, where can people find you, follow you, learn more about you, get in touch with you, all that good stuff?
You can hit me up on LinkedIn, Danny Dufresne. I also have on my LinkedIn a link. You can hit me up and set up a meeting to chat. Happy to connect with anybody anytime, or check out my company, the Oxco, at theox.co.
Amazing. Well, thank you
Yeah.
again for your time. I wish you the best of luck in the rest of the week. And again, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast and sharing your value with us.
Thank you.
Awesome. Talk to you soon.